Lou here. You know, many Black Butler fans for years were begging for a movie for the series, and boy did we get one hell of a movie. Let's check out Book of the Atlantic, the adaptation of one of the most famous arcs in all of Black Butler. For those who are new here and just tuning in, I've done reviews for the original Black Butler anime, Black Butler 2, Book of Circus, and Book of Murder that are all down below in the description for anyone interested. Book of the Atlantic is the adaptation of the luxury liner arc of the Black Butler manga, and is currently the last adaptation of the Black Butler manga. It would release in Japanese theaters on January 21st, 2017, and many would claim that it didn't do so well. We don't know the movie's budget, just that it made around $500,000 worldwide, but according to the very large range of budget on anime films, it's apparently very likely this movie tanked like the ship in this storyline. Now, we can't say for sure if this film is the reason we haven't seen another Black Butler anime since, because I could be wrong and an anime announcement for the school arc would quite literally be a week after this video goes up for all I know. But it is suspicious that Black Butler's 15th anniversary is this year, and well, we've got nothing for it aside from an exhibition that was suspiciously announcing everything but an anime. However, the pandemic has delayed thousands of anime, so it's possible Black Butler is also one that's been delayed due to this fact. Production-wise, not much is known, but apparently it was all smooth sailing. The only thing of interest was that Yana Toboso herself had actually asked the production team if they could include Mei Rin onto the ship shenanigans, as well, as she originally wanted her to be there in the manga, but the staff told her it would make the story a little too crowded, given that this is an hour-and-a-half movie. On the plus side, she drew this cool art of her design for Mei Rin in this arc, so that's pretty cool. Now, let's row ourselves over to the story. A secret hospital in England claims they can bring people back to life. According to the Queen and her staff, they worry this is a cover-up for human trafficking, so they ask CL to investigate to see what's up with this, quote, miracle. Sebastian then quickly finds out that the hospital is actually connected to a large secret society called the Aurora Society that seems to be shrouded in mystery for now, but they provide a large sum of money to the hospital to perform these experiments. By the way, secret societies were common in the Victorian era, so the fact that there is one isn't really the shocking thing here. Anyway, CL needs to infiltrate a meeting to the Aurora Society to find out if this is really a human trafficking ring or some sort of twisted experiment like back at the circus arc. So Sebastian tells him a cruise ship will be containing the Aurora Society members that'll be holding a meeting. As it turns out, Elizabeth invited CL on this very cruise ship, so it's a perfect cover story so no one gets suspicious of him arriving on the ship if they recognize him. This is also the first time we'll be seeing Elizabeth's family in the anime too. Along with Elizabeth and her family is Snake. For those who missed my Book of Murder review, Snake was brought on as a new servant for the Phantom Hive Manor, so this was a sort of bonding experience for us to grow fond of Snake as a character as the new addition. Also on this ship is Ronald Knox, who will be investigating the Aurora Society as well for related reasons. Leaving the celebratory dinner party to go in disguise for the Aurora Society meeting, a doctor named Ryan Stoker announces he's a very passionate doctor who wants to find a way to cure death, so to speak. He's not based on any real-life people in particular, but more based on Victor Frankenstein and Bram Stoker, which manga fans will get the reference, I'm sure. He demonstrates he can cure death by bringing a person back to life, except this person didn't come back normally, but instead a zombie. She murders her mother right in front of everyone before they all leave in absolute terror because, like, duh, lady just got torn to shreds. With attempts to subdue the zombie failing, Ronald comes in to tell CL and Sebastian that the only way to kill the zombies is by the head, like in traditional zombie films, before attacking Sebastian. Since there's a demon on board, he doesn't want overtime for this, well, CL leaves to try and find Ryan Stoker and press more about what the fuck he just made. Finding both Elizabeth and Snake, they discover that there were more corpses brought back to life on the cargo hold, where they're nearly killed before Sebastian comes in to murder every single zombie in spectacular demon fashion. This also kind of triggers CL PTSD a little bit, but luckily this time it isn't so bad compared to the last time he had a PTSD attack. Sebastian then locates Ryan in the cargo hold, where he announces that Basically, the ship was designed to carry a fuck ton of extra cargo that was normally designed for guests, but that the Aurora Society used to store literally thousands of bodies aboard the ship that are all starting to come to life. Of course, Ryan's coward ass escapes after explaining this, though just before saying he has a machine to stop all the zombies. Snakes on a plane now, fam. We're talking motherfucking zombies on a motherfucking cruise ship. Zombies start to eat the crew and guests, so CL and Elizabeth have to flee to safety until Grell bursts in to fight with Sebastian. In the scuffle, by the way, CL had twisted his ankle and is unable to walk, with zombies coming closer and closer towards CL and Elizabeth as they try to get away from the chaos. Zombies start to surround Elizabeth in particular. Just when we think this is the end for Elizabeth, bam! She busts out 2 rapiers and beats the shit out of these zombies in a badass twirl of swords. This is where we find out why Elizabeth pretends to act helpless and sensitive instead of a strong and capable wife. Prior to this story arc, many fans found Elizabeth's character to be annoying and simply another damsel in distress. Being the writer Yana Toboso is, who writes badass women who will cut you in two, Elizabeth got character development she needed to explain why she acts the way she does, which turned her into a fan favorite for many. Growing up in the Victorian era, girls are often taught that fighting and philosophy and more intellectual conversations were exclusively for men. Girls, especially Elizabeth's age, were taught to basically sit and be pretty little flowers. One incident that left her feeling torn was when CL told her that when they were children, he thinks women are scary. This interaction and societal expectations forced Elizabeth to pretend to be innocent and helpless because she loves CL and wants to be the best wife she can be for him in the future. Then, of course, the Phantom Hives were killed, the mansion burned down, and CL mysteriously returned 1 month later with a pitch black Butler, you know, the whole thing. Seeing CL had returned frail and realizing she was now taller than him, she vowed she would do literally anything to protect CL and be someone who can protect him other than just fighting. This includes wearing low-heeled shoes so she doesn't tower over him, acting younger than her age so he looks more mature by comparison, and never showing any worries so he doesn't worry. This, for me, made Elizabeth immediately one of my favorite characters in Black Butler, aside from CL and Sebastian, of course. Seeing that she struggles so much with societal expectations is a breath of fresh air in a story like this where feminine characters don't often get this kind of development. Of course, you still have idiots who think Lizzie should just be her true self, but those are people who are looking at it from a modern perspective and not the perspective of someone from 1889. Anyway, bringing Lizzie back to her family, he still needs to find Ryan again in order to use him for the machine to kill all the zombies. Not to mention the ship just hit an iceberg, so they're on limited time here. Heading to the main hall, they find Viscount Druid, who has a device and plans to use it to control all the zombies. Remember that despite having a medical license, Viscount Druid is a disgusting idiot, so this is mostly for a pretty funny interaction where Ronald, Grell, Sebastian, and CL all want to kill him because who doesn't? After basically humiliating everyone, he turns on the machine to find out it doesn't work. Frustrated, Grell tries to kill him just before she can kill the Viscount. Undertaker steps in. This is where we get the most badass part of the movie, in my opinion, of course. It's then revealed in spectacular fashion that Undertaker was a Reaper and the reason behind the zombies. This is when we finally get the name for the zombies, where he calls them his bizarre dolls. Kinda makes sense as the series goes on, actually. As for how he made the zombies, time for a little Black Butler lore. When a person dies, they release a cinematic record. This record is basically a film of someone's entire life. As Grell says in Season 1, think of it like when your life flashes before your eyes near death. As a Reaper, their job is to view the soul, see if they deserve to live or die, then collect if needed. What Undertaker did is he used his scythe to reap the dead body, which still contained the memories of the dead, just without the soul. He then added an extra film to the cinematic record, so the body thinks it's still alive. The downside is that because this add-in film is just filler, it's still craving the soul it needs, so all the zombies are trying to eat people to obtain a soul. As no one can take over someone else's soul, at least not yet in Black Butler, this process just turns them into regular film zombies. As for why Undertaker is doing these experiments, He states it was originally curiosity, but then something important happened where he wanted to find a way to perfect this experiment to truly bring someone back to life. As for why, we won't find out way later in this manga, and probably not for decades in the book of anime. With a badass fight between the Reapers and Sebastian, fighting Undertaker to take him down so they can stop him from making any more bizarre dolls, and because he's fucking crazy, Undertaker manages to slice Sebastian with his badass death scythe, where we get another really awesome scene in this arc, the backstory of Sebastian and Ciel's first meeting. Now, this scene is immediately after Sebastian and Ciel already finished discussing the terms and conditions of his contract, and this is from Sebastian's perspective. So we won't get the full truth of this scene until Ciel's version of events, which we won't see until like way later. Sebastian explains that the terms are 3 things: never betray him, obey every little thing he says, and never lie to him. This is all while Ciel is on the hunt for the people who killed his parents. Once he gives that person an agonizing death, then he'll eat his soul. One key detail I really want to point out here, because this is one of my favorite pieces of foreshadowing in Black Butler, is when Sebastian laughs when Ciel calls himself Ciel Phantomive and basically says he's a hypocrite for telling him never to lie when he's lying right now. Really awesome detail that a lot of people used to misinterpret as Sebastian just viewing Ciel as a helpless child, which he already thinks that, but I won't say what this foreshadowing is for just yet. And by that, I mean whenever Black Butler eventually gets around to telling the whole story in an anime format, which who knows if that'll happen, but This entire flashback is mainly to focus on the fact that Sebastian was not a perfect butler when he and Ciel first met. He was pretty reckless about hiding that he was a demon and couldn't cook anything because his palate was different from humans. In Ciel's case, he has a lot to learn as a child Earl who had to force himself into adulthood immediately, so it was basically the two of them learning from one another to become the team they are now. I've always been a personal fan of Sebastian and Ciel's relationship being like a slightly dysfunctional father-son duo, so it's sweet to see Sebastian kinda soften up a little around Ciel, and Ciel allowing Sebastian to see him scared from PTSD nightmares in the first place. By the end of the flashback, Sebastian basically taunts Ciel if he wants to give up revenge as a test. We see through this exchange that if Ciel ever attempts to give up, Sebastian will just eat him anyways, showing that no matter what, Sebastian pretty much wins at the end of the day. The reason in particular why Ciel's soul also fascinates him is because he's so used to working with selfish and greedy adults who want money, sex, and power. This is a child who wants revenge for murdering his whole family and selling him to a crazy cult that abused and traumatized him. Something Sebastian has never encountered before, so the contrast in Ciel's character as a child who forces himself to act like an adult is just fascinating to him. Basically, Ciel is like a neat little pet he's going to eat for dinner. Fascinated by Sebastian's flashback and ready to continue the fight, the ship is finally sinking and down into the ocean, so it's time for everyone to get the fuck out and on the last lifeboats to safety. Just before, Ciel grabbed Undertaker's funeral lockets, where we clear as day see the name Claudia P written in familiar blue hair. For historical clarification, funeral lockets and portraits were art pieces done by using the hair of someone dead to remember them. This was specifically a funeral tradition within the Victorian and early Edwardian era. Kind of a cute idea, but let me tell you, it looks really weird when it's bigger portraits. So we really need to pay attention to the name Claudia P for future references. Keep that on the write that down list of Black Butler foreshadowing. Finally, on a lifeboat, the zombies are still alive, as Ciel is the only soul for Miles. It's up to Sebastian to kill every single zombie still in the water while injured, and to do it quickly before any zombies find their way over to the group of survivors on the boat far ahead. Killing them all night, Sebastian and Ciel finally get to rest as the sun rises. Ciel tells Sebastian he did a good job and gets rest for this when they get home. Also that apparently demon sights as old as Undertaker's can cause pretty bad damage to a demon. I would say this is probably important to keep in mind later, because even though we're not that far ahead into the manga for Sebastian and Undertaker to fight again, Undertaker might be the only person in Black Butler who might be able to kill Sebastian, so that's an interesting piece of information to keep in mind. Just as he makes this kind of promise to Sebastian that he gets a day off, a rescue ship arrives for them. We do get an extra scene at the end of the credits of Elizabeth and Ciel, and that's just really cute, and there you have it. The end. I know this plot is just a little messy in the beginning since it's kind of just Ciel running around all over the place, but that's like 90% of zombie films in the first place, so I can't really judge there. For me, it's right around Elizabeth's backstory that this arc really picks up in the writing, and from there the movie just turns super exciting. In particular, I think my favorite part was the backstory between Sebastian and Ciel, just because I love how much it hints at further events to come. Of course, Undertaker's reveal is a close second too, and Elizabeth's backstory is just wow. Many Black Butler fans consider the Luxury Liner arc storyline to be one of the best in Black Butler, and where the series really picks up in what it's trying to do. And I can't help but agree here. Oh, and I should mention that I won't be doing characters this time around because there technically isn't anyone new here that I haven't already talked about, but just know that I liked Ronald, Elizabeth's family, Snake is adorable, Elizabeth is amazing, and Ciel is best boy. Overall, if you want an action-packed story with great mysteries and plot twists, I highly recommend the story here. Despite having a film budget, the animation quality is just a little all over the place in some scenes. I noticed mostly wonky eyes and a heavy reliance on CGI. Now, this made sense for the zombies, boat, and technically the ballroom. There was this really cool panning shot and 360 shots, but I thought I should mention it because anime fans tend to get a little picky about CGI, myself included. The animation itself was amazing for fight scenes though, great acrobatics and wonderful choreography. Particularly the way they animated Elizabeth's sword fighting as dancing was just brilliant, since the manga didn't make it too clear she was supposed to look like she was dancing. Another thing I thought was really awesome was the way Sebastian's mysterious true form was animated. In the manga, this is often portrayed with just eyes and a mouth, and that's kind of difficult to animate in terms of understanding what's happening. Having Sebastian be a grayscale figure done in rotoscope is a really cool idea. This gives an unnatural feeling for Sebastian due to being rotoscope, so it makes him look uncanny compared to the rest of the cast. For those who don't know animation terms, rotoscoping is when you animate over a piece of footage. For the best example of this, take a look at Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings, as that was entirely done in rotoscope. Anyway, the color palette for this is a little dull though. This makes sense since this is largely taking place at night in a ship where all the lights are out, so of course the colors are gonna look a little dull. But I still would have preferred something just a smidge more saturated, given the fact that Grell is here and she just looks a smidge strange when her hair isn't super red. Overall, the animation can be a little wonky in some places, but overall very well animated, highly ambitious, and a lot of really creative direction. As usual, the English dub is mixed to me. Now, Brina Palencia and J. Michael Tatum did amazing jobs as Ciel and Sebastian respectively, but Cherami Lee as Elizabeth? Now, don't get me wrong, Cherami Lee is an extremely talented voice actress, but I've never really been a fan of her as Elizabeth, and I think this is where it shows the most. She's not too great at higher-pitched characters like Elizabeth, and when Elizabeth is speaking seriously, she sounds a bit too old considering Elizabeth is only 14. The scripting with Elizabeth is also a bit eye-rolling too. There's a particular line that sort of goes like this. "What a little girl's made out of? Sugar, spice, and everything nice." While in the English dub, it's... let's see, how does that horrible rhyme go again? Rather than showing Elizabeth is still very girly but will cut you in half, it makes Elizabeth sound like she hates being girly when she doesn't. Though, considering Funimation loves shoving their personal beliefs in dubs, this could be an attempt at something like that. Could just be the new modern belief where people get upset at women for enjoying being girly or some shit, which I hate with a burning passion, but whatever, I guess. Of course, Daniel Frederick is brilliant at Grell. Seriously, I can't picture anyone else playing her with such passion that honestly matches pretty closely to her original Japanese voice actor. Fun fact, by the way, Grell is his first and only role he's had in voice acting, so that's pretty surprising. John Swasey was also really fucking good at Undertaker. I didn't think he was going to pull off the switch from Undertaker where he goes from this crazed madman to calm madman, but he did it really well, and I honestly can't wait to hear him pull off more iconic lines and scenes from our favorite Mad Hatter-esque mortician. The rest of the voice acting was okay. This is a Black Butler English dub, so the British accents are abysmal, and specifically laughable if you're from the UK, or they just don't fucking exist if you're the double Charles and William. It's not bad though, just honestly wish the scripting and accents were better when it's really not that difficult to pull off a somewhat genuine British accent and voice acting at the same time. I mean, I literally just did it for this video, so I don't know how people with more experience struggle more than me. Overall, the dub is just solid good. It's not amazing, but it's not bad either. It's just right in the middle. It's passable. While this movie's pacing is a little weird for a second, the animation could be a little better, the dub is kinda and overall the concept of a bunch of zombies on the Titanic is a little too weird for some people. I still think this movie is pretty damn good. It's a solid movie, and while it isn't perfect, it has some amazing twists and turns like Black Butler always does as the story goes on. Unfortunately though, it's a shame this movie flopped so hard and left Black Butler in a strange limbo state now where fans don't know whether we're getting a continuation or not for the series. Though watch as I say this, there's an announcement for the school arc anyway. Still, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. While I'm going to try and not make this my last Black Butler video, we are coming up to a Black Butler dry spell, so after I review all the OVAs in the future, you guys let me know down below what I could do to keep the Black Butler fandom going. I was thinking maybe explaining some plot twists in the manga, character overviews, or maybe an anime versus video. As always, let me know down below. Hey guys, thanks for watching! If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you're new. If any of you would like to help support my channel in any possible way, my Ko-fi page is down below in the description, along with all of my social media. For any subscribers, new or old, who'd like to help with video ideas, or maybe just want to talk about anime or something, I have a fan server linked down below. See you next time!